Hey, it's Uncle Grumpy. Gonna be in traffic for a little bit, so I thought maybe I'd come on here. As we talked about in the earlier video, or in my post, I just sat through the LOFT meeting. It's LOFT. It's an acronym for legislative something. I put the links in my last post to the report that the committee meeting was about, or that the meeting was about. There was both House and Senate members there, so that's a bicameral committee. Hey Floyd, how you doing? Should pass this around, guys. I'm gonna wait for a few people to join in before I keep going. Most of you probably saw my video earlier. I kind of went off a little bit on a few people. Well, one in particular, but you know, I'll say that again. I'm sick of the behavior I'm seeing from people who don't understand what they don't understand. So let's do a better job of that. Hello, Anna. Hello, Floyd. Floyd, I need to come by and see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing okay. Just been super busy lately. No, you didn't. It wasn't good stuff. It's never good to be yelling at people, but you know, again, I was fed up. We all need to learn to work together, or you know, we suffer whatever comes our way. And believe me, after that meeting I just sat through, I'm wondering what's coming. So anyway, I'll just get started. If you guys want to pass this around, maybe a few will see it. This was, in my opinion, the beginning of setting up what everybody needs to vote for these bills coming. What I mean by that is, we all know there's over 100 bills filed on cannabis. Some of them caps, I think, or something like caps. A moratorium was a big talk, was the one about a moratorium and higher fees. And this LOFT report, it looked at where we are, and it compared us to other states and just about everything. And it concentrated on things that we're a lot different on. And you kind of got the vibe from the committee and from the people speaking to them what they want. And it's not good, really. And you know, they started off talking about things like the taxes and therefore the amount sold and how much is sold per card holder. And they didn't give numbers on all that, but they showed a lot of concern in that area. And things were mentioned like other states having limits on how much you can purchase, or you know, or smaller limits on how much you can purchase. And it was pointed out that in our program, you can just turn around and walk back in the store. That limit of purchase is only per purchase. It's not per day, per month, things like that. So, you know, they kind of hem-hawed around about things like that. All very unnerving stuff. All very unnerving stuff. It was not what I would call good. This entire LOFT report. And like I said, it's in my, some of you have already gone and read it. I put it in a link on my last post, the one right before this, about sitting in the meeting. It's just a picture of the meeting. Sorry, I'm in traffic, so I gotta pay more attention to them than I do to you. Sorry. So anyway, go read that report. Go read the LOFT report. It makes a lot of comparisons. It talks about how many dispensaries we have per patient, how many we have in grows per patient, and I think the one number that stuck in my head was something like 1,000 people per dispensary in the entire population or something, which I guess is a pretty high number. We're about 10 times that of the states they were comparing, like Colorado. Something that was brought up when they moved on to the moratorium, and this was done in 3 parts, and it was basically 3 questions on how to deal with these issues. So again, that report is there for you guys to go look at. But they talked about Oregon, and I know some of you were shocked. I've seen some of you were shocked that they would mention Oregon. You know, that we would want to be anything like Oregon, when of course we don't. They're left, we're right, I get it. But what they were comparing, and we all heard about the crash there, what they are comparing is the 2-year freeze on licensure that they did in Oregon. That's what they were talking about. So, and they're saying that helped in Oregon. So, I mean, if I had to say right now, if I thought there was a particular bad bill that's going to pass, it would be the one with the moratorium on it. Really. Because that was the whole flavor of the meeting, was we have too many businesses, we have too much cannabis, we have too much black market. How do we stop it all? And, you know, there's only so much that they can do without setting the state up for nothing but lawsuits. So, front row. Come on. Man, this traffic is terrible. Anyway, they compared it to Oregon and used the 2-year moratorium Oregon did, and talked about that in a positive light, which to me, it was giving them cover. And this is something that everybody needs to understand. Cannabis this year is, in my opinion, and that of others I've talked to, I'm pretty sure that's what everyone would say, is about the second biggest issue this year. Education, I think, is always number 1. But next to that, I think cannabis is the biggest issue. And that showed in the fact that there was both, again, House and Senate members, and they were almost all there. I mean, all the ones that were supposed to be there. Because when they did when they called out to see who all was there, there was 1 or 2, and I know they have sick spouses, so because I know who they are, so there was only 1 or 2 that weren't there. So, and they were all paying attention. They all had questions. Well, not all, but most of them had questions. The one that asked the most questions, I can look up her name. I don't have it off the top of my head, but one of the things she concentrated on was issues with testing. And this lady, this senator, knew so little about cannabis that she didn't know they called it flower. She was stumbling over what to call it that is tested. At least that's the way it sounded. So that's troubling, because she had a lot of questions. I mean, it's good if they want to get educated, but if they're asking questions that lead you to think they have an agenda, and that agenda is to find a way to shrink the program, not necessarily from a patient standpoint, but shrink the program, you know, it worries you what the questions they're asking. And that one worried me a little bit. Oh, and by the way, they did talk about the no qualifying conditions as well. They talked quite a bit about that. Now, did I get the sense that they were going to do qualifying conditions? No, I really didn't get the sense. I don't think they want to try that, not this year anyway. But it's another thing they don't like, and another on the list of the things that they say are wrong with the program. In fact, there's so many card holders, or at least that's the impression you get. They think that's wrong. Otherwise, why would they talk about the no qualifying conditions? But it was used in more of a way in talking about the explosion of the market, but you could hear the questions, the follow-ups that lead you with the impression it could also be used to perhaps shrink the market or justify finding ways to shrink the market. So, again, this was a very unnerving, very uncomfortable meeting because of the things they talked about. And I had some good conversations afterwards. I talked to my senator, of course, because he was in the meeting. And, he's a Democrat, so unfortunately he doesn't really even have a say. He could vote any way he wants, and there's not enough of them to make a huge difference. And he walked up and said, "So, moratorium." It kind of led me to believe, well, here we go, here it comes. That's not good for a lot of people. I know a lot of people in the industry already want that, and I understand that, and I'm not calling anybody names for wanting that. Let's talk about that. Let's don't get nasty about it, and that's what set me off in that video earlier. But anyway, I want to reinforce something I also made clear to the elected officials I did speak to that were in the committee, as well as Adria Berry of the OBNDD. I also spoke with her. We've had many communications in the past. Very nice lady. I really like her. And if anybody has an opinion about her, just let me tell you this. She's an agency head. They're not allowed to have an opinion about legislation. So that's like a rule. So, and legislators aren't supposed to have opinions about petitions, but they do. So anyway, she's a great lady. If you ever want to reach out to her and you can't get a hold of her, let me know. I can put you in contact with her people if you're in the industry or a patient, and she's always willing to help people. But I had a conversation with her, and I let her know, again, as I did the elected officials I spoke to, we are here because canopy limits were not put in the Unity bill. Well, okay, let me correct that. They were put in the Unity bill, but they were taken out, okay? We are here because canopy limits needed to be in this program from the beginning. Had we done canopy limits and then maybe something about limiting licensure so you could only buy one or a certain number, whatever that number is, per part of the industry, meaning one grow, one process, one dispensary. Now, again, those numbers have to be different, especially with dispensaries, because people want to be able to expand. But say with the grows, if we had canopy limits and a limit on how many grow licenses you could have bought, we'd have room for these 9,000 grows, because this whole meeting talked about how we don't have room for all these grows. The representative from southwestern Oklahoma, or the senator, he seemed to be bothered by the 10% increase in grows in his area last year. That was just last year. It was a 10% increase. The normal amount, the same amount of applications put in for new grows as the year before, plus 10% more. Okay? Just down in his area. And his area is most known for where all the black market cannabis came from. The majority of black market cannabis came from before 788. That part of the state is where some of the best cannabis in the country has been grown for 40, 50 years. So it was interesting listening to his take on some of this. I've met that was a senator, but I met a House member from that area as well, and that one made it pretty clear how passing 788 cut into the law enforcement budget, and they were not happy about it because they weren't able to arrest and shake down as many people. So, interesting conversations. Anyway, back to the Loft Report. Go read the Loft Report, pass it around. Everybody should see this that's in the industry. You can have your own opinions about what it means or how they use it. I've given you mine. But if you're in the industry, you need to read the Loft Report. If you're a patient, let me say this, okay? Because I probably bet most of the people watching me are just patients. You guys are the ones I'm working for, by the way. But until these bills get through committee, I'm not going to panic or worry too much about what bills look like they might hurt patients. Okay? Like, for example, there is a bill from Senator Paxton that he's put forward 2 years in a row now. Not a fan of it. It has not passed in the past. I don't believe it has legs now. If it comes out of committee, I'll look and see if and go have some conversations and see if I can find out if it has legs. And you know, if you guys see other bills that you think are negative to patients, let me know what they are. And it's not the license fees are going to go up, okay? That's got to be worked out by the businesses. I hate to say it, but it does. But if you see anything else that you think is going to hurt the patients, please let me know so I can keep an eye on it in case I'm not already. And if it gets out of committee, again, I can go look and see if it has legs. If something doesn't have legs, we don't have to say a word. And sometimes that's the best thing to do. So, all right, guys. Loft. It's OKLOFT.gov. That is the link. When I'm not driving, I'll put it in on the heading of this video. Go and read that, especially if you're in the business. And again, like I said earlier, the offer still stands. If anybody wants to come to the Capitol and learn how this works, or you want to come up there to try and influence something, and you could use some help in what I call working the program, please contact me. I'm here to help you do that. So that's it. That's how I got doing this. Norma did this for me. Norma Sapp showed me. And I want to show all of you. And then every one of you can affect legislation. Not just throw fits on Facebook and call each other names when you disagree. Or, unfortunately, like one of them does, misread legislation to everybody, misinterpret every bill you read, and send people into a panic over things you don't understand. That's getting frustrating, and I'm going to start getting angry about that and pointing that out on here. And yeah, I don't expect all of you to hang around. I'm sure I'm going to make some of you mad, but enough of the childish behavior from the DCs of the world. So let's grow up and move on. We're adults here. The average patient is 52, I think, not 17. So, all right, guys, that's it. I hope I made some of you mad. At least I want to know you felt something, because the apathy in this community is going to be our downfall. All right, love you all. Stay grumpy. I'll see you on the road.